Welcome back to the quiet corner of the internet where we look past the noise, to the space where meaning lingers. This is Turkish Spotlight Secrets. In an age that clips feelings down to 50-word captions and turns memories into looping reels, there are still sagas that refuse to be minimized. They insist on patient attention, on listening not only to what is said, but to the resonant hush between sentences. Tonight, our lens settles on a phenomenon that has gripped the Turkish entertainment universe and refuses to let go, a thread sewn from charged glances, unguarded laughter, and a choreography of silence. We are stepping into the winding, luminous world of Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yagai's. From the outset, an invitation: if you crave stories with depth, if nuance matters to you, make sure your subscription to Turkish Spotlight Secrets is active. And for those who want to keep this level of storytelling alive, the join button beneath this video opens the door to a deeper tier of community and support. Your trust gives us the time to craft pieces like this, to slow down when the timeline races. Now, let's descend into the light and shadow these two have spun with the effortless gravity of stars. As the soulful leads whose on-screen partnership broke records and crossed borders through their hit series. Known to many viewers around the world as The Promise, their names became the axis of speculation. The central question echoed from Istanbul's late-night cafes to Santiago's sunlit kitchens: did the fire that blazed in character bleed through the lens and reassemble itself in their real lives? Was the chemistry we admired a beautifully performed illusion, or was it the truth wearing a costume? Here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we're not parroting rumors. We're sifting through small shards of evidence, reading the electricity in pauses, and tracking the contours of a story that may never need to declare itself outright. From the earliest table reads, those in the room noted something beyond routine professionalism. Scenes seemed to glide as if they had a pulse of their own. A gaze lingered half a beat longer after the director called cut. Between takes, jokes turned soft, and soft turned familiar. The line between what was written and what was felt became an optical illusion. People blinked and weren't sure what remained on the page and what lived in their eyes. Then came the article, sketching a trail of understated dinners, hushed escapes from the city, and a series of well-timed absences that made sense only when placed together. Whether every syllable was fact or flourish almost didn't matter. The spark alone was enough to restart the entire debate with the force of a summer storm. Screenshots leapt across languages. Threads unfurled in countries where their show found a home. The conversation reignited everywhere, because the story had never really cooled. Before we dig deeper into the implications of that leak, the floor is yours. You are the heartbeat of Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Were you among the early observers who noticed the patterns? Do you think the reports are the missing piece? Pause for a moment, hit like if this level of detail is your oxygen, and leave your own theories in the comments. Your insights often rival the work of seasoned journalists. Sometimes you see the hidden beat before anyone else does. A sunset that filled her stories matched the horizon line reflected in his. Weeks apart, the same cracked ceramic coffee cup slipped into their feeds, the flaw in the glaze as distinctive as a signature. A public playlist appeared, opening with the obscure track they laughed about in that old press day blooper reel, the one fans love to resurface. None of these moments were confessions. Yet, to those who have watched closely, they felt like delicate winks tossed across a crowded digital room, acknowledgments too careful to be coincidence. The interview cycle arrived as it always does, relentless and bright. When reporters prodded at their dynamic, on set and off, they answered with the elegance of people who have learned to protect what matters. Gratitude for teamwork. Admiration for trust. Phrases polished to a soft sheen. We are fortunate to work with such understanding. What we build together is rare. No denial. No proclamation. Only that shimmering in-between, a place where maybe sings louder than yes or no. And that liminal space keeps the rumor engine humming. It's easy to forget the pressure cooker that surrounds them. Paparazzi crouch for that single frame that can tilt the narrative forever. DMs fill with tangled theories and uninvited advice. Their show's success rocketed them into a higher orbit, and the air up there is thinner, every word weighs more, every picture is a story waiting to be written, every pause a headline in waiting. And complicating all of it is their shared history, memories cherished in public and guarded in private, which makes every glance feel like a chapter reread. What's the fallout, or perhaps the conspicuous lack of it? Neither Gökberk nor Özge currently presents a public partner, removing one obvious layer of drama, though that doesn't erase the stakes. Families, managers, and brands fixate on timing, tone, and image. Production companies worry about the balance between private feeling and professional duty, fearing how even tenderness can ripple through a set. The press, hungry for color, leans into phrases like clandestine meetings and forbidden moments, amplifying ordinary life into a sweeping melodrama, as if real hearts are obliged to follow a script. And then there's the question of careers. Their joint project was more than a milestone, it rewired their futures. A confirmed romance could power their combined star into new territory, magnetize international offers, and lure producers hoping to capture lightning again. Or it could press them into a single storyline when their range is infinitely broader. That is the gamble with any romance that steps off the page. Some fans revel in the echo, others demand a clean border between fiction and life. Before we pivot to body language and the unspoken choreography of two people who know each other well, a reminder: joining Turkish Spotlight Secrets through the join button is the surest way to keep this level of analysis alive. It's an investment in thoughtful entertainment storytelling, the kind that refuses to rush the ending. Meanwhile, the feeds refuse to stay quiet. A location tag that appears in both timelines, separated by 2 hours, and the same blue awning peeking at the edge of the frame. A particular wristwatch in a candid video that shows up again in a mirror selfie a week later. Comments on each other's posts that steer clear of overt romance yet carry an unmistakable warmth, a rhythm you can feel even when words are plain. None of it is definitive on its own. Together, it starts to look like a mosaic. And once a mosaic takes shape, it becomes very difficult to pretend it's only a handful of unrelated tiles. There's another wrinkle that refuses to be ignored: their interviews as a pair feel different from their solo appearances. Side by side, their pace syncs without effort. One starts a thought and the other lands it softly. Laughter arrives faster. Spotlight is shared like an instinct, handed off without calculation. Alone, they remain gracious yet guarded, careful in the way of people who know that even kindness can be misquoted. Together, a small pressure lifts. Shoulders settle. The air clears by half an inch. It's not a confession, it's a climate. An atmosphere tells its own story. Stepping back to look at the whole, what emerges is a quiet yes written in smoke. When asked about boundaries, they praise craft and professionalism, but their eyes do heavy lifting words could never manage. When a question comes too sharp, they choose gentleness over the kind of denial that closes doors. It's the vocabulary of those who know the difference between what belongs to everyone and what belongs only to them. But caution belongs in any honest telling. The glare can scorch. Private joy is fragile when a lens can turn it into a commodity. They owe audiences their dedication to the work, they do not owe anyone their hearts on demand. They retain the right to define what is theirs, and to decide when, if ever, to hold it up to the light. Loving their story on screen includes respecting the invisible fence that protects the parts of them that are not for sale. So do we call it confirmed? In this world, confirmation doesn't arrive as a neat signature. It arrives as pieces that click into place: the reported quiet dinners, the aligned posts, the tender silences, the interviews where smiles linger in the air like a chord. It reads like a yes, not the press release kind, but the kind where two people let the world adjust, slowly, to a new angle. The ripple effect is already visible. Campaigns lean hard into their paired magnetism. Platforms re-promote the promise with their faces front and center. International blogs translate the chatter. Local shows debate the ethics of asking for more. Fans flood timelines with a heady swirl of hope and protectiveness, wanting both the fairy tale and the safe harbor. It is the rhythm of fame, and they're standing in the eye of it, choosing each move with care. And if you ask us at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, we are hopeful realists. The notion that the electricity we watched on screen crossed the threshold into something lived is irresistible. Together, Gökberk and Özge are a paradox in motion. Calm and ignition, dusk and daylight, filling the frame bigger simply by sharing it. Watching them confirm what many already feel would send timelines into a frenzy. But even if what we are given is this exquisite almost, it remains a story worth savoring. Before we close, a final note to the community that keeps this space alive. If this exploration resonated with you, consider tapping the join button to become an official member of Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Your support keeps our research deep and our craft careful. Liking, commenting, and subscribing matter more than you know. They tell the algorithm that attention should still be given to stories that breathe. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, Turkish Spotlight Secrets is here for the stories that cannot be rushed, and for the truths that do not need to shout to be heard.